Happy Friday, everyone. Today I have another client success story to share. And this is one that I've actually shared before, but it's been a while. But so I'm sharing it again because it's so inspirational. And honestly, I'm a little bit selfish in there's this a little bit of a selfish reason for sharing these stories is because it fills my heart with so much joy to remember the clients that we've worked with. We've worked with hundreds of clients. It's almost 500 now over the last 5 years or so. And while I'm so proud of our success, obviously what happens is we forget, right? And we don't mean to forget. If you think about all the people that you've worked with over the last 5 years, all the lives that you may have touched over the last 5 years, we often forget. And it's just really nice for me from a somewhat selfish place to reconnect with those stories of transformation that we are so honored and blessed to have had a part of. So the story that I want to share is Elyse's success story. So if you've been following me for a while, you may have heard this one before, but it's always great as a little bit of a reminder, a little bit of reignition of that passion and inspiration. We also share Elyse's story in our webinar. So if you've watched our webinar, this will sound familiar, and that's why. And if you haven't checked out our webinar, I highly recommend that you do that. If you go to thepeoplestack.com/webinar, it's on demand. You can just, enter your email address and you'll be able to watch it right away. Because in that webinar, we share not just client case studies. So we share Elyse's story and then another client's story as well. But we also share more broadly the 4 shifts, the strategic shifts, the mindset shifts that our clients have made to really command premium salaries, to own their worth, to evangelize their excellence, to build that excellence and really become the best leaders they possibly be in order to upgrade their careers and walk the path toward career transformation. So definitely check that out if you haven't already, thepeoplestack.com/webinar. So I talk about Elyse there, but I'm going to talk about Elyse here as well, and actually a little bit more detail than I do in the webinar, because the webinar, we have to kind of give the much shorter 2-minute version of it for time's sake, because there's a lot that we want to cover there. But here I have a little bit more space to talk about Elyse and to remember Elyse. So she's someone who I worked with a number of years ago. And so how I actually want to preface this is by asking you a question. And it's a really important question. Where do you want to be career-wise in 3 years? In 3 years, where do you want to be in your career? And one thing to sort of help you with this is, where were you 3 years ago? Right? And you think, where was I 3 years ago? And how much have I accomplished? And now, where do I want to be in 3 years? And so what I want to do is share Elyse's story and what she was able to accomplish from the time we started working together to 3 years after that. And so when Elyse started working with us, she was brand new to management. She was essentially a technical lead on a data analytics team. And she was struggling, and she admitted that she was struggling. She kind of felt lost in the weeds, going to meeting after meeting, really just not able to produce the wins that she was used to producing, not able to achieve what she was used to achieving. And this is an important part of Elyse's story, which is that she had always seen herself and always was kind of the A student, the A player. She'd seen herself as an overachiever, and so in her jobs right out of college and throughout school, she was that A student. And then in her jobs right out of college, she was that A player, that employee of the month material. So then she was identified as, yeah, you're a leader. This is great. We want to see you do more. And so she stepped into that first manager role, that first leadership role. And things weren't going the way that they used to. In other words, she wasn't seeing those wins and getting that recognition the way that she used to, because honestly, she wasn't scoring many wins. And when she was, she kind of felt like she was a little bit shy and a little bit hesitant to score any of the wins because she didn't feel like they were big enough, because they weren't the same. It wasn't that same sense of accomplishment that she was getting before when she wasn't a manager. And so another piece of it too, so that was one piece of it, was sort of this, and this is a huge piece of it, it was this identity crisis, right? I'm a high achiever. What's going on here? Can I lead? Maybe I can't lead. Maybe I'm not cut out for this, because everything else I was doing, before this, when I was basically in individual contributor roles, I was great. I was knocking it out of the park, and now I'm in management. It's not working anymore. And it doesn't feel easy like it used to. Oh gosh, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe I'm not good enough for leadership. So there was definitely this identity crisis that was going on. And then on top of that, she wasn't scoring many wins. And then on top of that, she was just really struggling to connect with her team, to communicate, but even more so to be able to give them feedback and have them respond to that feedback. She had some team members who honestly were underperforming. That was my take on it. And she agreed with that they were underperforming, and try as she might, she couldn't get through to them that they were underperforming, and couldn't get through to them that these are the steps to take so we can get back on track. And they were just sort of, the team members were just sort of dragging along and not doing it. And then, and not doing the work, and weren't responsive to her attempts to try to give them feedback. But then remember, like, beneath all of this was her sense of sort of, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I'm not good enough. No one will ever listen to me. And so when you show up that way, your team is absolutely going to pick up on that, and they're not going to listen, and they're not going to be inspired by you. Like the opposite, they're going to just do their own thing, and they're not going to be motivated to do well. And so the other piece of it too that I kind of mentioned, there's lots of little pieces, was the self-promotion piece, where like there were some wins that were happening. It wasn't all doom and gloom. Like there were some, but she really just, Elyse, didn't feel comfortable self-promoting. She knew that it was something she should do, but yet she wasn't, and she didn't know how. And the really tough pill for Elyse to swallow was, well, how am I supposed to self-promote? How am I supposed to evangelize my excellence when there's really no excellence to evangelize? And that's why she felt uncomfortable, because she didn't feel that it was worthy, that the wins were worthy of telling the senior leaders about. And so it was these variety of things that brought Elyse and I together. Elyse reached out, and we started working together. And essentially, and if you read below in the comment, that basically the story, the longer story here, you'll see, you can read a little bit about in Elyse's own words how she described it. But essentially, what we did when we worked together was I helped her to build systems. We're big on systems here at the People Stack, so that she can get some more structure and be more intentional in approaching the way that she led. So these included systems like a meeting system, so that she didn't kind of feel trapped by the meetings, but instead the meetings felt productive. And was absolutely a reason to go to them, and she was leading them in feedback systems, right? Because this was definitely one of the things that was I can't get my team to listen to me. So we talked about what feedback is and created a feedback system for her. And really what this did was it boosted her confidence that, hey, I can do this. Leadership is a skill. And just because it's not easy, just because it doesn't come naturally to me, just because it doesn't feel easy, that doesn't mean I'm bad at it. A lot of people tend to think that like, if you go and you do something new, you move into a new role, you move into a new leadership role, and if it feels hard, and if there's lots of challenges and it doesn't just automatically flow and doesn't just work right away, then oh, I'm not cut out for this. It's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be a 100% fit. And if it doesn't flow and it just doesn't work, then I'm not cut out for it. I'm not good enough for it, or that's not my thing. Leadership isn't for me because this is too hard. And I did that too. When I first launched my business, first tried to launch my first course, it was a complete bomb. Nobody bought it. Nobody bought it. And I had that thought too, like, okay, maybe this whole entrepreneur, career coach, business owner thing, selling courses and selling online programs just isn't for me. Because, oh, well, I tried this one time to sell this course and it didn't work. Oh, maybe it's not for me. It's the same thing. Oh, I've been a leader in a new leadership position for about 6 months. And this is too hard. I can't figure this out. No one's listening to me. Ugh, maybe leadership isn't for me. We've all done that. And if you look at it that way, it's almost kind of silly, right? So there's a couple of distinctions here, right? So number one is when you have big goals, there's gonna be big challenges along the way. Like if you're not feeling challenged, you don't have big enough goals. The challenges are the sign that it's right. The fact that it's hard is a sign that you're on the right path toward growth, toward transformation. If you want transformation in your career and in your life and you're not encountering challenges and you're not feeling like this, oh man, this is kind of hard, then you're doing it wrong. Challenges are part of the game, folks. They're part of the game. And then the other piece of it is just remembering that, like I mentioned earlier, that leadership is a skill and you have to build that strength. And you may not get it right away. It may not feel easy right away. So it's really just really important to remember that. And so long story short, what happened was we worked together and Elyse went from overcommitted, underperforming, I don't think this is for me, leadership is for me, to building that confidence, having systems and structure and support, and that really clear vision for this is what I'm going to do. And this is how I'm going to up level. This is how I'm going to become a better leader. And then in the time between when we started working together, the 3 years after, she stepped into 3 promotions. She earned 3 promotions in those 3 years. And she doubled her salary in those 3 years. So, and really what's so inspiring to me, one of the other things that's so inspiring about Elise's story is that she's only in her 30s. And so there's so much more growth that's going to be happening for her. And I'm excited for her, but really what's more important is that she was finally excited again. She wasn't in the, I'm just going to give up. I don't think this is for me anymore. It's like, yes, let's do it. I know what this feels like now. Growth and challenge, bring it on. And because she has the systems, because she has that's the systems and the strategies and having that support, that gives her that sense of clarity of I got this, instead of like trying to figure it out on her own, because she could have done that. And who knows what would have happened had she done this on her own, had she tried to do this on her own. And it breaks my heart to think about that, because I know what happens. Either it stays the same or it gets worse. It never gets better. And this is part of what breaks my heart the most about what we do, is we talk with folks time and time again who are clearly struggling. Maybe they're in a similar situation as Elyse, where, gosh, I just can't figure this out. I have no idea how to lead my team. I have no idea how to be a great leader. I'm just going to meetings and I just feel trapped by my job. Or, maybe it's struggling because you've been in the same job for 5-10 years, haven't gotten paid more than a 5% raise, never gotten a promotion. Or maybe you've been on the job market for 3 months, 6 months, a year, haven't been able to land that next job. And that something needs to change in order to really get unstuck and get momentum again in your career. And we talk with people like this every day. And for one reason or another, they do reach out for help, and they consider the help, and they're interested in getting help. But at the end of the day, for a variety of different reasons, they're not committed to getting help. And even though if we decide that absolutely we can help you, we're 100% confident we can help, they decide not to take that help. And then a lot of those folks we never hear from again, which is sad to me, even though I tell them, please, let's keep in touch. We want to know what's going on. We want to continue to help you. But every once in a while, we will get emails or texts, sometimes a few months later, 6 months later, in some cases 2 or 3 years later, basically saying, Jen, let's talk again, because I'm in a worse situation than I was before. I ended up staying on the job market for 2-3 years. I'm running on empty. I have no money. And I ended up taking this contractor gig, and I'm just feeling completely demolished. And it's time to get the help. And sometimes they decide that time, and sometimes they don't. But that's what happens. That's what happens. If you're struggling in your career, and there's something where you're feeling stuck, there's something not working in your career right now, and you've been trying for weeks, months, or even years to fix it on your own, what's the definition of insanity? To keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. So you got to do something different. And in order to do something different, it means another perspective. And do you want to just talk to your friends and say, hey, what do I do? Or seek the help of colleagues who have no idea about, how to really and have proven systems and strategies, who are really not experts in upgrading careers? No, you want to work with an expert, because after struggling for so long, you're not going to gamble on just, anyone. You're going to work with an expert, and that's why people hire us. That's why Elyse reached out, and that's why we ended up working together. So I'm going to ask the question again, because it's an important one. Where do you see yourself in 3 years? Where do you want to be career-wise 3 years from now? And how are you going to get there? Are you going to get there by doing the same things that you have been? Are you going to expect something to just magically kick in and work? Or do you finally want to talk with an expert to kind of figure out what's not working? What can I do differently? And what am I committed to doing differently so I can walk the path toward career transformation? And if that's what you want, if you want to claim that dream career, book a call with us today. thepeoplestack.com/book. So just like we did with Elyse, just like we did with Stephen, just like we did with Lucy, all of these wonderful clients that I just love reminiscing about, that I've been sharing their stories over the last week or so. Just like we did with them, we're going to talk about what's not working in your career. We're going to shine a light on it. It's about getting to the truth. What's not working? And really identify it specifically. We're also going to talk about where you want to go. Where do you want to be in 3 years, in 5 years? And then we're going to determine if we can help you close that gap to get from where you are right now to where you want to go. And if we're 100% confident we can help you do that, only if we're 100% confident, we're going to talk about what it would look like to work together, and we're going to map out that plan. Custom tailored roadmap, custom tailored plan, step by step. Your career transformation roadmap, specific to your goals, to what your strengths and weaknesses are, where you want to go. And it's always your decision whether you want our expert help to implement that plan. And if you do, we talk about all the details, including the investment and how long we would work together and all of the other details. But whatever it is that you decide, this is still going to be one of the most eye-opening, career-changing conversations that you've ever had. So if you're ready to really take a look in the mirror and say, all right, what's not working? I want to figure this out once and for all. And I also want to figure out where I want to go. And book a call with us. thepeoplestack.com/book. And so maybe Elyse's story inspired you. And if it did, wonderful. That's why I share them. Maybe it didn't, though. Maybe for a variety of reasons, there was just nothing that you connected with, or maybe you're still feeling a little bit hesitant. You're still feeling a little bit skeptical. Oh, she can do that, but I don't know that I can. She's in her 30s, but I'm in her 50s. I'm in my 50s. I don't have as much time as she does. Guess what? We've worked with clients in their 50s as well. We've worked with clients in their 60s. It's never too late. And what I want to acknowledge, if you're feeling that little bit of kind of resistance, or you're feeling doubtful or skeptical, I want to acknowledge you for that, because that's where we often start. No, I don't think that's possible. But then it's just a small shift to say, maybe I could. Maybe I could do this. If I could live my dream career, what would it look like? If I could identify exactly what's not working in my career, what would that be? And if I could reach out to an expert for help, when would I talk to them? When would I talk to Jen and her team? Would it be Saturday? Would it be next week? Would it be weekend, a night? When can I find that hour? Because if you can't find that hour, then that means it's not important to you. It's an hour conversation that is going to change the way that you look at your career. That's our solemn promise to you. So again, that link is thepeoplestack.com/book. So there it is for the day. I believe I have at least one more client success story to share. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about Tom on Wednesday. And so if your career goals include moving into the C-suite, you're definitely going to want to watch that Facebook Live on Wednesday coming up next week. But even if they don't, it's really hard not to be inspired by Tom's story. Again, like selfishly, I love remembering it, and like the leaps and bounds of transformation that again, we've had the honor and the privilege to help our clients to achieve. So definitely check out the videos next Wednesday and Friday. I release the videos Wednesdays and Friday, and Wednesday I'll be talking about Tom. So I will catch you then. Have a wonderful weekend. Talk to you soon.